The ball python breeding hobby is a marathon, not a sprint. And for Courtney and I here at Leviathan, we are finally at the point where some of the plans that we put into place over 5 years ago are just about to pay off. So for this week's video, we're gonna go over a few of those clutches that are right on the cusp of laying that might potentially have the animals that we've been shooting for the last several years. And in addition, we're gonna be talking about whether or not we think that those plans are still relevant to the ball python industry overall. And finally, for the vlog for this week, we went down to Justin's of Canova in order to record a little bit for an upcoming documentary episode. And while we were there, we were able to take some behind the scenes footage of all of the things that Justin has been able to accomplish through breeding ball pythons over the last 20 years. Anyways, we hope you guys enjoy the video, but my name's Steven with Leviathan, and let's get to it. Alright, so we just finished filming some drone footage of the Canova facility, and now we're gonna jump into Justin's garage and take a peek at some of his cars. First girl that we got to talk about is Maisie, and Maisie is a really good example because a lot of the females we're going to be discussing are going to be like her. So on the surface, she is just a visual pastel female, but she is also double het for VPI Exanthic and for clown, and we have been pairing her to a banana pastel double het VPI Exanthic clown male. And this pairing, I'm pretty sure, was produced during our second season, but it goes back even further than that. When we were very first getting into the ball python hobby, Exanthic, specifically Exanthic clowns, were one of the combos that really caught my eye. And it was probably the very first project, even though we didn't know that's what it was called, that we wanted to pursue. So at that time, we had gotten a banana Exanthic male and we had a pastel clown female, and we raised both of them up from hatchlings, and during our second season we were able to produce this girl, and she is now an adult and is about to lay her own clutch. So this is going to be our very first shot to hit a VPI Exanthic clown, and we are super freaking excited. That said, the hobby has changed quite a bit from when we initially decided to pursue this project. And during that time, the prices for Exanthic clowns have drastically fallen to the point where a lot of people would look at this pairing and say that if we wanted to make an Exanthic clown, it would be such a better idea for us to just go out and buy one. And while that is true, it does take away a little bit from the hobby aspect of the industry, and that is making plans, sticking to the plans, and seeing it all the way through until the end result. And while it might not be the best business decision, we really want to make our very first VPI Exanthic clown ourselves rather than going out and buying one. So, what do you think of Justin's car collection?
I mean, it's really cool. I like his garage a lot though. Like, in addition to the cars are obviously very cool, but like, hey, I was just saying, the garage is so intentional with like the way it's decorated and like presented. It looks just amazing, really cool.
What's your favorite parts of the decorations?
The decorations.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, like I really like the like Michelin and the Shell. Like he's got all of the different like fancy car brands around, but also the like other like brands in there. I like that. I think that looks neat. It looks.
What's your favorite car?
Oh, what cars? I don't know.
Which one? Just point to it.
I don't know. That one's cute. I like that. I don't know what it is.
the second girl that we got to talk about is probably going to be the clutch that I'm most excited about for this entire season. So this is Willow, and she is a double het Sunset Ultra male female, and she has been paired to two different males. The first male is a bongo triple het Sunset Ultra male hypo male, but they had a couple locks really early when she was developing follicles, and then he stopped locking. So we were able to bring in a backup, which is Aaron, who is a normal double het Sunset Ultra male. And both of these boys have locked with this girl, and I'm personally gonna put money down that Aaron is gonna be the one who sires this clutch, just because he's had more locks in more recently. But either way, I am so freaking excited for the chance to make a Sunset Ultra male. So again, very similar to the last clutch, this is a project that we started almost as soon as we decided that we wanted to breed ball pythons. So during our very first season, we picked up a visual sunset male. He ended up actually being an orange dream sunset. His name's Aries. He is my favorite snake that we have in the entire collection. And once he was up to size, we did a collaborative breeding project with our friend Troy over at Balls and Strikes, where he had sent over one of his ultra male girls, and we paired them together. We had a great clutch. I want to say it was like 10 eggs or so. And once the split ended up going down, this was one of the girls that we were able to get for our 50% split of the clutch. And now that she is fully up to size, she has been paired, and she is just about to lay. She's already had her pre-lay shed, and we are counting down the days for this clutch to come out. We can't wait to see what ends up happening. I love the way that the Sunset Ultra male looks. It's probably tied for my favorite sunset combo that has been produced so far. So the fact that we have a small chance, because again, it's essentially double het to double het, regardless of who the male is, that we can get a Sunset Ultra male, I am so freaking excited. And if we do this, again, it's the result of something that we have been working for more than 5 years, and I can't wait to see what happens. Now, for relevancy in the industry, this specific pairing I think is actually way more relevant than the previous one. There's still only a handful of Sunset Ultra males that have been produced in the entire world, and when it comes to the US, I want to say there's definitely less than 5 breeders who have a Sunset Ultra male. And seeing that some of our friends have recently produced their own Sunset Ultra males, like Brandon Nixon or Justin of Morph Jungle, I have been so jealous, and I can't wait for the ability to have this potential clutch hatch out and see a Sunset Ultra male in the egg. I can't wait to see what happens. But just because we might hit a Sunset Ultra male doesn't mean that the project is done. We definitely want to work more incomplete dominant genes into the project, and I would love to see a Sunset Ultra male clown and a Sunset Ultra male puzzle, which are going to be things that we will be able to do going forward once we hit one of these babies.
Right, so as Rolex or Hermes or Ferrari, like they basically choose their customers, right? And so you have to have an in, you have to wait for an allocation, etc. So I just try to think, is it possible for us to do that in our industry? And the scenario would have to be that someone makes 100 high-end snakes a year. They have to be significantly better than what you can get from anyone else, or there's no demand, right? You have to have something that's exclusive. But then I think the challenge would be is the end, these are a product that you're using to make other products, right? To make your own product. And so it has to make sense on it's not like not necessarily an end consumer at the $50,000 mark, right? At the $30,000 snake. So it's plus you have all the byproduct that you make alongside of your, the high-end stuff, right? And so then in order to not solely your brand with low-end snakes, you'd have to give those to or sell them under a different brand name, and it gets highly complex because you can never not make byproduct. You just can't do it. And so I just don't think, in the end, I don't think there's a clear path to that sort of business model in this industry.
tying into the last girl, when we did that collaborative breeding project with Troy of Balls and Strikes during our second season, he also sent us a pastel inchy chocolate visual desert ghost female. And at this time, Desert Ghost was the hottest morph in the entire ball python breeding industry. And to get a breeder Desert Ghost female, especially one with extra genes in them, that was something that wasn't even being sold at the market during that time. By Troy allowing us to do the collaborative breeding project with him, we were able to get into the Desert Ghost project because we didn't have any Desert Ghost at all, and we paired his girl, the pastel inchy chocolate Desert Ghost female, to our Orange Dream Sunset. And from that clutch, we were able to get 50% of it. And this girl, Diva, she is a chocolate double het Sunset DG female, is one of the babies that we were able to hold back. And this girl is building. She's not quite as close to going as the other females we've been talking about, but she has been paired to an Orange Dream chocolate inchy double het Sunset DG male. So again, it's still double het to double het. It's low odds, but the fact that we could potentially make a combo Sunset Desert Ghost is going to be absolutely massive. Miguel was the first person to hit the Sunset DG, and he recently hit an inchy Sunset DG. And I think that both of these animals look absolutely incredible. And the fact that we could potentially recreate what he's already done and bring in chocolate to the combo, I'm really, really excited about this pairing. And again, just like all of the other ones, this is a clutch that we've been working on for years and years and years. And the fact that we are just on the cusp where we might see the results from it is really, really exciting. This next clutch is a little bit different than all of the other ones we have talked about so far. So the girl, her name is Mona, and she is a normal double het Sunset Clown. And we were trying to pair her to either our Clown Het Sunset Boy or our Banana Inchy Clown Het Sunset Boy. And just like all of the other ones, this is a combo that we have been dying to hit since we got into the ball python breeding hobby. But neither one of these boys would lock. In fact, it went so far that she was at about 20-25 millimeters when we decided that we needed to bring in another backup male in order to at least get a clutch out of her because we didn't want to waste it. So while we were initially trying to go for the Sunset Clown, we decided that we wanted to go one step further since we had the perfect male to do it. And instead of pairing one of those two males, we ended up pairing her to an Inchy Gravel Hypo Clown Boy. So again, long odds on this, but we could potentially make an Inchy Gravel Clown that ends up being double het for Hypo and Sunset. And I am super, super excited about this because I love the Sunset Clowns, I love the Hypo Sunsets, and I think all three together is going to be an amazing animal with great color that ages really, really well. But this specific pairing is 1000% going to require shed testing through Rare Genetics Incorporated in order to make it viable. If we weren't able to send in her shed or the baby's sheds once they end up coming out in order to test whether or not they carry the Sunset gene, this would never have been a pairing that we would have made. But by using Rare Genetics Incorporated on Morph Market or on Clutch, we are able to do this pairing with shed testing in mind, and once all the babies end up hatching out, we'll be able to know which ones are Het Sunset and which ones aren't, so then we know which ones that we need to hold back. With this change, I actually think that it makes this project a little bit more relevant to the current ball python breeding industry than had we just tried to go with the Sunset Clown. And obviously, Sunset Clowns are amazing animals that are right near the top edge of the ball python breeding hobby. But I personally think of gravel and the super gravel, super asphalt, all of that stuff as its own recessive, even though it's incomplete dominant. This means that we are essentially trying to make a visual that's triple het for this specific pairing rather than just going for the double visual. And in my opinion, I think that this is going to make the babies from this much more viable for years to come because we'll be able to pair them to other Sunset things, to other Clown things, to other Hypo things, and make some wild babies if we are able to produce a Gravel Clown double het Hypo Sunset. The last girl that we want to talk today is a completely different style of project, and rather than it being a multi-recessive that we've grown up an entire generation and now we're trying to hit the desired outcome, this girl we purchased, I want to say during our very first season, but it took her some time to get up to size, and I don't believe that she went last year even though she was paired last year. But she has already had her pre-lay shed and we are counting down the days for her to lay her clutch. But her name is Rosie and she is a dinker. We bought this female from Outback and she was one of the animals that they imported from Africa and they had on their site as one of the special ball pythons. Again, not the special morph, but how they put up dinkers on their website in order for people to try to find and establish brand new genes. And I think that she looks wildly different than a normal ball python, but we don't know if her appearance is genetic. She has a very reduced pattern with strong contrast and her belly looks kind of interesting. So with all of these different things said, we don't know if her appearance is genetic, but we did run an entire full panel genetic test on her with Rare Genetics Incorporated, and she tested negative for every single gene that they have. So if something comes out in her clutch that looks like her, I think that that's going to be a really good piece of evidence to show that her appearance might be a brand new morph. But again, this is a huge gamble and we don't know, but the fact that we are on the verge of finding out is really, really exciting, regardless on whether or not she produces babies that look like her or she produces a clutch full of normals, which then means that we might need to see if it's recessive or if it's just a strikeout on all counts. But regardless, I'm super excited because it is something we've been working on for years and we are finally getting to the point where we are able to achieve our goal. Before we get out of here, huge thanks to Justin for letting us come down and film with him again, and for everybody who is watching the channel. If you are not subscribed, definitely hit the button, leave a comment down below, but we will see you next week.